believe that.
Yeah, when I saw it started in national news, I was thinking of even wondering how AMR's been. Normally I'm bumping into people I know, but I haven't talked to anybody in a while.
Well, they're shifting too, like, well, 4 or 5 people go to Life, then in a couple of years they'll go to Rockford, and in a couple of years they'll realize it's not the company, it's the healthcare system, that's the problem. So they'll come back to whoever pays the most. But Mark and Kenny at Life are giving $250 if you pick up a shift and you're hourly. They're giving out stipends, they're giving out, you know,
Wow.
they'll buy you a $50 dinner gift card if you pick up half the shift. We can't do any of that because that's Mark and Kenny's money that's going to pay that stuff.
Mark and Kenny.
Mark Meyer and Ken Morris. And Rockford's not for profit, which is the biggest joke in history. But so they can buy you whatever they want to.
Do we need to wait till?
No, we can start,
Yeah.
but I just, have him
Might as well.
share what he wants to do and then go from there.
All right, you ready for the questionnaire?
Absolutely.
Well, I think you want to
He
have
has
him
to
finish
give
his process.
us-
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe he's already gonna answer half these questions.
Cover most of it. All right,
I'm not that good, but I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate it.
whatever you want.
Where do you want to start?
I guess just if you could, just give a quick introduction of what you'd like to do with the property.
Yeah, nice condos, 2 to 4, depending on what you'd be willing to do there. The building is on half the site, so the vacant site would allow 2 more if you went up. And so that would be, my plan is to go up a couple stories. And if you allowed, was on the site currently to be on the vacant site, it'd be 4. Additionally, if you have an interest, the property is essentially 0 lot line, and so going north of that is what I pass around as photos. I think that would make a neat parklet. I've seen people fishing on that side before. I've seen actually a guy in a wheelchair there a couple times. And there's that cement structure. I don't recall what that was from. I think it's old Lowell light and power, something or other, for going under the river. But that would, I think, hold a nice piece of artwork on it, and would love to landscape that as part of our project into a parklet there. City's got a lot of cool property, and I think that's something that could be kind of neat. I think Lowell Light and Power in the board meeting touched on this, and you heard a little bit about the summary when they made presentation to the city, but majority of the master plan, when it talks about future uses, there's emphasis on residential. Mentions continuing to support commercial, but pretty much every section where there's the summary portion of it, the summary is a focus going back to residential. So I think it's not only a very cool use of that property, it's consistent with the master plan. So I said essentially the same stuff on the Lowell Light and Power board meeting, and I guess I just run through the questions you folks have.
I guess I'll start.
Sure.
The city vision for the Line Shack is that its restoration will be a catalyst project on the west side of the Flat River and thus revitalize the area. In essence, the city is looking for a unique and dynamic interest for the Line Shack. What do you believe that your firm can provide this, and would your firm do to execute this?
Great question. I think the renderings show that it could be unique, cool, and having residential units right there, and part of the walkability of downtown will benefit the restaurants and bars and other retailers around there. So I think it would create excitement both from the west side of the river looking east, and also from the east side of the river looking west. It would add to that landscape very nicely. And the parklet that I mentioned, I think, is probably something that maybe others haven't thought of, but I think that would be something that would really add to a nice vision and excitement there.
What do you estimate your costs will be to fully convert it? You got a pro forma on the project? Has your firm complete, these are questions that we're asking everybody.
Yeah, no, those are good questions, those are fair questions. I think the additional tax base would probably be $1.8 million to $2 million, depending on whether it's 2 units or 4. I'm speculating the value, each unit would probably be about $500, depending on if it's an end unit or middle unit. So $450 to $500 times 2 or times 4.
What percentage of the project would you be seeking financing for?
Probably half temporarily. It'd be construction financing, because it would be condominium units. Each property owner would secure their own financing, like buying a house. So our construction loan would probably be about half that.
Okay, thanks.
The city of Lowell is looking for a tenant with the ability to complete the project and to have a sustainable operation. Please tell us how you will work with the city to ensure that you can adequately fund this project and continue to be sustainable.
Well, the sustainability piece is converting it into condos to residential units. I forget the Lowell Power Board member, but he made the observation that residential seems to be the most stable and sustainable, and I would agree with that. If you put a business in there, you're subject to business climate and failures, and most businesses fail in the first 12 months, and then if you get past that, then there's turnover a few years down the road typically. You don't have that with the residential use. We don't need grants, we don't need subsidies, so I don't know that there is a need to work with the city on the financial aspect of it. So I don't know if that addresses that part of that question or not, but we're not looking for grants or that type of thing.
Okay. The city of Lowell is focusing on creating a sense of place for the downtown district by enhancing our natural assets and creating a walkable community. What does this mean to you, and how will you embrace this in your project? How have your previous projects been involved in embracing the idea in other communities or ours?
Another good question. Well, it's residential, consistent with the master plan. The master plan envisioned a walkability component that you just read. In fact, I probably got it here in some of my pages as well. It's consistent with that downtown housing right there on the main drag, so to speak. Very walkable. Also, there would be a water component. We put, lack of a better way of saying it, dock hanging off the back so that you could have deck boats there. You're limited how far up the river you can go, but you know, with the concert series and everything else going around here, there's a pretty good group of people that do their little tour, and I would envision that. As far as what we've done in other communities, I guess I would reference here first. You've seen Riverview Flats, that we've created a pretty beautiful courtyard there, extremely well landscaped, and yeah, I mean, our vision for Riverview Flats was anchoring that end of the boardwalk and doing a nice job doing that. And we've done it, I believe. And I've been involved in other conversion projects. One on Wealthy Street, Cherry Hillmount condos. It was 101 apartment units converted to condominiums. And that was 2009, right when the market was crashing, and we were the only project that continued with sales, and it was extremely well done in my opinion, and the price point was affordable, and we sold out. And if you go by there today, the landscaping looks lush and it's thriving. So I think we've got a pretty good track record of doing a nice job.
Are there any legal issues that are pending or adjudicated? Adjudicated on your firm and or principals?
No.
Thank you.
City of Lowell is a public body, and in dealing with a public body, transparency is of the utmost concern. There's a strong possibility the process moving forward will be highly scrutinized by the public. Is this a concern for you or your firm, and how do you plan on addressing this as we move forward?
Thank you.
Basically, what we're saying here is no matter what decision we make,
No one likes it.
it's gonna be
What we mean is, we know we can't make everybody happy. How do you plan to deal with it?
I'm trying to be very tactful, but I guess I'll say the same way we did with Riverview Flats. We had supporters, we had people that weren't supportive, and we kind of kept our mouth shut and just tried to put our best foot forwards. About a month ago, we were getting ripped on social media about the river side of the building not being done, and speculation that there's financial difficulties and it's going bankrupt and all that type of stuff. And it would have been easy to hop on there and respond to it, I'm all ready to go. And it was a couple things. One, there's a paint shortage, which I didn't think we'd ever get to, but we couldn't get the right color to match the siding, and so paint shortage, siding backup, caulk backup, contractors, et cetera, et cetera. What's ironic is about a week after all those posts were done, the siding was done. So just kind of kept my mouth shut and knew what our schedule was and kept plowing ahead. So we would do the same thing. I recognize 100% you can't please everybody. You said that very well. So you just keep plowing forwards and do a nice job, and at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I guess, is there a preference, more on the site, less on the site? And I said we could do 4 units with the existing building. We could put more onto the site and do 4 units. I don't know if there's a preference one way or another.
My opinion is quality over quantity every time, but because you put more and the quality goes down, you just have more vacant units. But if you put a couple of few really nice ones, and people are there 5 or 10 years.
I would plan on that being or be my residence. A friend of mine, Rick Langerak, who lives in Cannonsburg right now, would sell his place and would live there. And I'd love to do 4. They would be high quality, they'd be cool, and the vacant portion of the site is concrete right now. It's not like that's super attractive, and so I think 4 attractive units would be a great way to go, and it boosts the tax base. The master plan discusses that most of the properties available to develop are fully developed in town, so that you raise the tax base and add more housing. Is being intentional about how you redevelop the properties that are here. So I think that would be one way to bolster not only tax revenue, but housing. That's 4 quality units, and that would be the preference.
Would the backs mirror each other?
Yes. Yeah.
I know it's early, Todd, but are you talking about demoing what's there and starting all brand new?
We use the line check for 2.
Okay.
So if this is the line check, we go up 2 more floors, and right down the middle would be the division, and then we would do the same there for 2 more units.
2 more units, okay.
Yeah. So pull in to parking, and then you go up to 2 floors for the living.
So it would be underground parking is what you're talking
It'd
as
be
well?
at grade level, so you pull off the street into your parking.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything for Todd?
No? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you get into different communities, you go by something, and there's a couple of things in Ada, other places I'm sure you've seen. Cliff, you mentioned Northville, they've done some neat things there, but you go by and say, wow, that's a cool project, and creativity, and that's kind of what I would envision there, is people would look at it and say, wow, that's a cool project, that was creative, that's well done. appreciate the opportunity.
Mhm.
Well, that,
I know, heading back to Hastings?
actually, so my fiance said she heard on the radio this might be the last 80-degree day before April,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
and can we run out to the lake? So
Okay.
See if
I'm
you
gonna
can, if you can't.
make her run out to Saugatuck.
See if the EMTs can come up a half hour earlier, because I think.
Fulton is closed, so we'll go down Fulton.
Yep.
All right, good to know, because
Yeah,
that's the
you'll be
direction
stuck.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, or you'll go, just go down for jabs, that's what I do.
Yeah, so that's, thanks for the heads up on that.
No problem.
As long as I'm here, do you guys have any questions for me on Riverview?
No.
No.
Glad to give you
I
that
don't.
one as well.
Is everything I read about it on the internet true?
Always is.
Is Facebook
That's where I get all my information.
Relation.
I'm sorry, Leah, did you?
No, I was just
No,
adding that Facebook is always accurate.
Yeah, just looking for the next phase. to be-
You guys should have got payment on the legal bill.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, we did. thank
Yep,
you.
we made sure that was taken care of.
So, yeah, you mentioned the next phase. We are having the soil borings done next couple of weeks, so we can see what the depth of our foundation is for the existing
Is this
building.
the building?
Yeah, and then that'll tell us whether going up another